That friend who only calls when they need something? Allah is opening your eyes to the truth. These 4 signs expose who's using you. Number 3 is how manipulators hide in good deeds. Don't let toxic people steal your barakah. Your real tribe is waiting. They only reach out when they need something. Some people treat relationships like vending machines. They only show up when they want something. You don't hear from them for weeks, maybe even months, but as soon as they're in trouble, they suddenly remember you exist. Whether it's asking for money, needing emotional support, or expecting you to solve their problems, their presence is entirely conditional. It's not companionship they're after. It's convenience. And over time, this pattern begins to feel less like friendship and more like obligation. These relationships are fundamentally transactional. You give and they take. But rarely, if ever, do they show up when you need someone. They vanish in your hard times, only to return when you've healed enough to help them again. It's a painful cycle of emotional labor that leaves you drained and unappreciated. Yet in this recurring disappointment lies a divine lesson. Allah, in His wisdom, reveals the hearts of people through their actions. Their behavior is not a punishment, but a protection. He is showing you who values you and who merely uses you. Your kindness, your willingness to help, is not a flaw, it's a virtue. But not everyone is meant to carry it. Instead of dwelling on the hurt, recognize this as a sign to redirect your energy. Invest in relationships that are mutual, those who care for you, even when they need nothing. Give, but with discernment. Set boundaries, not out of bitterness, but out of self-respect and faith in Allah's justice. Remember what the Prophet taught. Whoever gives up something for the sake of Allah, He will replace it with something better. When you step back from those who drain you, trust that Allah will fill that space with sincerity, loyalty, and love from the right people. Your worth is not defined by how much you do for others, especially those who only remember you when they're in need. Let go, have faith, and allow Allah to protect your heart and guide you to better connections. They guilt-trip you for saying. Know some people don't respect boundaries. They manipulate them. The moment you say no, they act offended, hurt, or even angry. Suddenly, your refusal becomes a sign of selfishness in their eyes. They might say things like, "After all I've done for you," or "I thought you cared." These aren't genuine expressions of hurt. They're tools designed to make you feel guilty and bend to their will. It's not love, it's control disguised as emotional closeness. This tactic is especially cruel because it preys on your kindness. They know you don't want to hurt others, so they use your compassion as leverage. They twist your empathy into a weakness, making you question your own values just for setting a healthy boundary. But Islam doesn't call for self-sacrifice, to the point of emotional destruction. In fact, Allah teaches us that true love and care include respect for limits. The Prophet Muhammad lived a life of incredible generosity, but he also taught moderation and self-preservation. Giving is a beautiful act in Islam, but it should never come at the cost of your mental, emotional, or spiritual well-being. Balance is key, and guilt-tripping has no place in sincere relationships. When someone makes you feel bad for saying no, remember, you are not sinful for protecting your peace. Saying no is not a betrayal. It's an affirmation of your worth. Allah gave you the right to choose where your energy goes. Standing firm in your boundaries isn't a sign of selfishness. It's a sign of self-respect. The next time someone tries to weaponize your compassion, pause and reflect. Is this a relationship rooted in love or in control? Choose to honor yourself in a way that pleases Allah, because real love, the kind Allah wants for you, never demands you to break yourself just to keep someone else whole. They never give back, not even gratitude. It's a painful feeling, giving your time, energy, and care to someone, only to be met with silence or a sense of entitlement. No, thank you. no recognition, no effort to return the kindness. Over time, this one-sided dynamic starts to chip away at your spirit, making you feel used, unseen, and unappreciated. It's not that you gave expecting a reward, but a simple acknowledgement would mean so much. Some people take your generosity as a given. They assume you'll always be there, always willing to help, and they treat your kindness like a service, not a gift. When someone constantly receives from you and never offers anything in return, not even a word of thanks, it becomes clear you are not being valued. You're being taken for granted. But here's the divine truth. Allah sees what they overlook. Every silent act of kindness, every moment of effort that went unrecognized by people, is written and preserved by the one who sees all. As Allah says in the Quran, indeed Allah does not allow the reward of the doers of good to be lost. 9:120. While people may forget, Allah never does. Your value does not depend on how others respond. It's defined by your sincerity.
If your help comes from a place of love and faith, then know your reward is far greater than worldly praise. Still, this doesn't mean you should continue giving endlessly to those who feel entitled to your efforts. Redirect your generosity.
Pour into relationships where your presence is valued, not exploited. Give to those who see your efforts and match them with appreciation, respect, or at the very least, gratitude. And just as importantly, be generous to yourself. Rest. Heal. Refill your own cup. Being kind doesn't mean allowing yourself to be depleted. When someone shows you they cannot even offer gratitude, take it as a sign from Allah. Your goodness is not wasted. It's just not meant for them. You feel drained, not loved. Love isn't supposed to feel like a burden. Yet some relationships leave you emotionally and spiritually exhausted. You give and give, trying to hold things together, constantly fixing problems, smoothing over conflicts, or proving your worth. Instead of feeling supported, you feel drained. Instead of peace, there's pressure. Over time, it becomes clear. This isn't love, it's labor. When you're always walking on eggshells, trying to keep the relationship afloat, it robs you of your joy and stability. You may find yourself doubting your value, suppressing your needs, and losing your sense of self in the process. This kind of emotional fatigue isn't love, it's a signal. And in Islam, such signs aren't to be ignored. They are what scholars call a nasira, a divine warning or reminder. Allah is showing you something your heart is too loyal to see clearly. Real love, the kind rooted in sincerity and mercy, uplifts you. It brings peace to your heart and clarity to your life. As Allah says in the Quran about the purpose of marriage and close bonds, He created for you spouses from among yourselves that you may find tranquility in them, and He placed between you affection and mercy. Quran 30:21. If a relationship constantly drains you and there's no mercy or mutual effort, then it's not aligned with that divine model. You're not weak for feeling tired. You're not heartless for wanting peace. You're being guided. Don't ignore the fatigue. Honor it. It's your soul's way of crying out for better, for balance, for rest. So walk away, not with hatred or resentment, but with a heart full of trust. Allah never removes something without the intention of replacing it with something better. Let go with grace and believe in His promise. What you're leaving behind is not love. It's just a test. What's coming is peace. Final reminder. The moments you feel most unseen, when your kindness is met with silence, when your loyalty is taken for granted, when your heart aches in private, know this: Allah sees you. Every tear that falls in solitude, every silent sacrifice you make, every time you choose patience over retaliation, it is all recorded by the one who misses nothing. You are not invisible. You are not forgotten. Your worth is not defined by how others treat you, but by how Allah honors you. People may overlook your efforts, but Allah magnifies them.
Where others fail to appreciate you, Allah elevates you in ways the world can never match. If you're walking away from relationships that drain you, setting boundaries that protect your peace, or choosing dignity over drama, you are not losing.
You are healing. And healing takes time, trust, and tawakkul, reliance on Allah. As the Prophet Muhammad said, "Whoever gives up something for the sake of Allah, He will replace it with something better." Let this hadith anchor your heart. What you release with sincerity, Allah replaces with something more fulfilling. Maybe peace, maybe people, maybe purpose. Hold your head high. Choosing self-respect isn't arrogance, it's a form of faith. In Islam, taking care of your soul is part of worship. You are allowed to protect your energy, to walk away from harm, and to wait for what is written for you with trust and hope. Like, comment, share to remind others. In Islam, self-respect is not selfish, it is a form of worship.